Warriors Day.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd accept a motion for the preview and approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. I'd accept a motion for the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. Item 4A, audience delegations. We don't have any, thank you. Item 4B, MSBA delegate report.
Okay, for our May monthly report. In the last month, the major issue has been with what's been called swatting calls.
Oh, yes.
So a swatting call is a hoax phone call, and it's reporting a serious crime in hopes of sending a SWAT team to the schools as to be as a distraction and leaving other buildings vulnerable. In March, there was at least 9 swatting calls that were made in one day in Missouri. John McDonald, who is the COO of the safety, encourages the leadership in our schools to be proactive by having a plan, knowing the plan, and practicing the plan. This way we can be proactive and kind of try to table it. There has to be a lot of things that you have to understand that's going on with a lot of the AI that's going on. That's what's causing a lot of the phone calls is they're using the AI to make these phone calls, and so
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that are over
It's a
my
whole
head
new
with
world.
that.
Mhm.
But hopefully some of our technological people will be able to get on board with that. So definitely we need to be proactive for our student safety in that area. The MSBA Summer Summit is being held on June 16th and 17th, which is our retreat.
I know.
It's in Branson this year. And the keynote speaker is Dr. Jacqueline Sanderlin, and she likes to be called Dr. Jackie. And she is a principal in Southern California in one of the districts there. And she's become known for her straightforward, why not attitude. Her presentation at the summit will be on the importance of the 5 C's in our school districts, having community, collaboration, capacity, connections, and creativity. As for some of the moving bills, the 2 things like I know that we've been pretty staying on top of and have been interested in a lot in, I mean, there's a lot of bills that are just setting. I think this last month they really didn't get a lot done. There was just
They
a lot
didn't.
of
They're
done.
done.
yeah,
There's
they're
nothing.
done.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot of recess and nothing really happening. But open enrollment has been passed by the House, and as of the last state, they said that it is on the calendar for the Senate. It's not on the calendar anymore.
The Senate's done.
They're all-
Senate's done.
Session's over.
So it's done.
It
Okay.
ended last week.
Yeah.
Okay. So they didn't really update us on that besides May 5th. So this is from the May 5th email that they sent us. I will say there are some of the changes that they made in that bill. Sorry. So I don't know, but it is, it will allow the districts to choose to accept non-resident students if they have room and do not need additional staff. That was one thing that was on there.
Well, I think they stalled everything.
Okay.
They didn't pass anything
Yeah.
in the last week. It just,
So this is just how it's been changed lately, because I mean, this changed from when we were voting. It's
Right.
changed a lot since we were voting. So
I'm
this
sure they'll start again next year.
probably. So the good news is we have the option on this and the way that it's written. You know, we have the option for it. And then the candidate filing, they were trying to get that to move, but since everything's just closed, then we're just waiting.
Start again next time.
So that's it. So then the right now they're looking at the candidates for the president and vice president
Of MSBA.
of MSBA.
Because Ruth is going to be the new president in November from Ray Peck.
Oh,
So
see.
go to the conference. Get to see her installed.
So then there's a voting in August. There's a voting like for some of the bills to be starting like August 28th. If we want to see changes, that's when we can write in for those types of things. So, and that's all I have for you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda under communication is monthly information items. Reports that are attached from Deb, mostly, I think. Anybody have any questions concerning those? Okay. We have item 5B, what's great today? Jill, what's great today?
Well, I'll get to that. We had a great day. That's the third one on the item. But the first thing I want to talk about is a program that was a partnership between ECC and middle school this year that took place thanks to Kelly Quinn, the focus facilitator at the middle school, and Becky, who kind of coordinated that between the buildings. But our 8th graders went over weekly and met with kindergartners and played games, worked on rhyming, read books, talked about being thankful. They just worked on a lot of different skills and activities, and it was all led by those 8th graders who came up with the ideas and things and worked with them each week. And so I think it was a really fun time between the two, the older kids and the big kids, or the little kids. You guys have anything to add, Chris and Becky?
It was a great experience, and we had a variety of kids that were able to participate, and some of the kids that maybe don't get to shine at the middle school could come over and really showed some leadership skills that maybe they didn't normally show. So it was good to see.
Yeah, some of our kids, they struggle in a normal classroom setting, and they get to go to the ECC and work with little kids. It's amazing. I think if we could have all their teachers who struggle with them sometimes see what the things are capable of doing, it would really help out. So I think that what we need to do next year is have little kids and puppies throughout the middle school, and we will be fine.
You know what's funny about Little Kids and Puppies? I did hear that the 2 lists that filled up the first
We're little kids and puppies.
were Little Kids and Puppies.
Yes,
Yeah.
for senior day of service. Same.
That's funny.
All right. Yeah.
Little horses.
We don't have those. The second thing I want to spotlight was just learning that happens locally, how our staff, our teachers, and our schools take advantage of the opportunities here in our own community to learn. And so the middle school robotics team made a trip to Cass Regional Medical Center, and they got to see experience a bunch of the labs and talk with a bunch of professionals in the healthcare field to learn about technology's impact on caring for patients. And then up above, you can see a high school Missouri history class that took a tour of the square with Mr. Atkinson. Mrs. Middleton took her Missouri history class up. Previous week they had been to the log cabin with the Historical Society, and then they took a tour of the square. And then below you can see that our kindergartners and preschoolers always take trips over to our own library so they can have story time. So we introduced them to our public library so that they can see that that's available to them. And then today. So today we had our senior day of service. We had over 150 kids out in the community doing service activities all over the place. They did phenomenal. I've already received tons of emails back from the job sites, so positive about the kids and the work they did. And it was even pretty drizzly all day, so some of them were out in the drizzle rain today. But they did so many things. They painted the Chamber of Commerce's log cabin stage. They worked at the animal shelter. Yes, the puppies. That one filled up fast. They worked at people's houses, senior citizens' homes around the community, retired teachers, just other senior citizens doing landscaping work. They cleaned buses out at Echo Ride. They did go to the little kids at ECC and play games, and they cleaned and washed police cars. They were all over the place doing amazing work. And as a bonus, Ray Daniel with KSHB 41 News was here, and she was at the animal shelter and the public library. And I think she said the story will air Thursday or Friday. She's going to let me know. But she did interview a couple of our kids, and they shot some video. She was also here for another story, which will air next week, which is on Mariah Coffey, who's going to the National Spelling Bee. So we got a couple tips for the day. So anyway, it was a great day. I can't say enough about the kids. They were great. And for the first time, we let them all drive, and they also did great. They went to their places, and they did their work, and then they all came to lunch at the community center. So it was it was phenomenal.
Well, thank you for organizing that.
Well, I should add to this. My two interns, Minda and Maddie, Minda Schroeder and Maddie Lawman, played a huge role in organizing this year's event. They were behind the scenes logistically on a lot of the things, planning, getting the job sites emailed and planning out things. So I do want to give them a little kudos because they did a great job.
Thank you.
Yep.
Really good. Good experience. 6A, assessment and evaluation of district programs.
As of the end of April, our 83% of our fiscal year is complete. We're sitting at 93% of our revenues and our working budget are in. Revenues for April compared to last April are up a little bit, and that's mainly because we received about $350,000 reimbursement on some ESSER funding reimbursements. On the expenditure side of things, we're looking at 78% of our working budget is expended, comparable to last year, except for Fund 4 because of our bond projects. The fund balance percent, we're at 50.74%, up from 47.85 last year, so still looking good on that line item. And year to date, we are sitting with revenues over expenditures for funds 1 and 2 of approximately $5.2 million. Cash and investments are at $19.6 million with $334,000 left of bond proceeds. Nothing out of the ordinary this month, I guess. Any questions on finances?
Thank you for such a good report. We have strategic plan update next.
Really the only thing I wanted to share with the board, so I met with John Ruddy and Brian Henry, who are our state representatives to DESE, our state supervisors is what we call them. Both of them complimented us on our strategic plan, which was part of what we turned in for MSIP 6 back in the fall. We turned in our strategic plan, which was from 2019. One of the areas that they were highly complimentary of was our community outreach. And you might recall when we went through that process, we had invited specific community members to come in. We also knocked on doors and had surveys and all those things. So they wanted to highlight that for our district, and they have a different pieces of that strategic plan where you can receive extra kudos, I guess, if you apply for them in the fall. They haven't developed the form for that yet, but they encouraged us to apply. So I'm passing that on to you to do so through the new leadership at that time. I think that's an exciting thing for our district. So.
That is. Very.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Item 6C, discussion on extracurricular transportation.
So we sent the existing contract to our attorneys to review and add suggestions for next year's contract for extracurricular. So this is just feedback, construction, how you want to change this, things you want to add, suggestions from the attorneys or the red line. So have at it.
Okay.
So first, sorry, so this is just then a template of the contract that we're going to use.
Correct.
Extracurricular.
Correct.
Because I noticed that both buses are still listed on the Booster Club
Right.
contract, so I
Right.
just wanted to make sure that was the case. Julie, what's the status of the Booster Club bus right now anyway?
Brent?
From what I know, it's completely out of commission still. They have removed it from Masters property and it is sitting at Mike Johnson's facility right now to be worked on. But he's a little bit hesitant to do that, even though the Booster Club, from my understanding, their attorney has said, go ahead and grab it, start working on it just so we can maybe have it by the beginning of school because the damage is so extensive. But without insurance looking at it yet, he didn't want to dive into it because I think he said looking maybe $25,000 to $30,000 if and the Booster Club's attorney says, oh, Masters will pay for it, Masters will pay for it. Well, we hope so, but he didn't want to get too far into that before anything else was finalized. So at this point, I should have stepped up, I'm sorry. But,
yes, please feel free.
Come on up.
But at this point, it's same place. It's just out of commission and no timetable of getting fixed at this point.
So it's we still don't know. Basically, it's a big question mark.
Nothing. It's still in the attorney's hands, I guess, from the Booster Club, and then who's representing Masters.
Okay. I guess. Did you want to ask anything else, Emily?
Well, so will we even offer a contract to the Booster Club if nothing's changed 6 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now? Is the plan to continue to offer a contract to Excalibur to you, the one with Big Blue, and then would we hold off on offering a contract to the Booster Club until we have the bus back in commission?
I don't know.
I think that's up to you. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could always put it with a contingency, obviously, of getting fixed, but at some point we have to make a decision, I guess, of whether we're going to take that risk or if we're going to go a different direction and visit Echo Ride about getting extra buses or what we're going to do. I don't know.
Well, I think that's the issue. If we don't have that bus in commission and you're still going to need a bus, we need to let Echo Ride know that in plenty of time so we're not crunched like we were this year.
I think we're already.
Are we already there?
Pretty crunched. It's tough to find buses right now. Just like with cars. I mean, the same thing's going on with cars, going on with buses. You can't find them. So it's tough.
So do we need to offer some type of a drop dead day to the Booster Club that we need a firm answer from them by?
I don't know. I think there should be some sort of language in the contract that we offer that says this has some kind of time frame in it. If the bus isn't available for whatever reason, for however many days or weeks or whatever, then the contract.
It says in the contract, I remember reading it, it says something about if the bus goes down, somewhere here it talks about if the bus isn't available, they will have the means to supplement it.
I thought that was the driver. Is it the bus?
It says in the event of a mechanical failure or breakdown that prohibits further operation of either vehicle while in use, the Booster Club shall be responsible for providing an appropriate contact who can assist in securing aid for any district group using the vehicle.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, I just think there are several things that need to be decided. What first and foremost is if there's going to be a bus to have a contract on, that would be pretty important that the bus is there and running and available. In my view, I don't know how the rest of you feel about that.
I echo that.
I just don't know why if we're having a contract if we don't have a bus.
Well,
right? That's like, I'm just like, I mean, I understand it's there in place, but we don't even have a bus right now. So
yeah.
Can we look at the contract when they have a bus?
Yeah.
That would be my thought.
Right?
I don't think it has to
Well,
be.
we're still gonna need,
Well, we need, but this needs to be changed to Excalibur then.
For like the 6 week or 3 month time period, whenever we last did that. And then obviously using the contracts and talk about the revised contract to see if that's the one we want to use or if we would like to add anything different to it.
I didn't hear your first sentence. What did you say, the first part?
That we have to decide, we obviously decided to extend the contract to Excalibur for the short term to get us through the spring. And we have to decide if that's the route we're going to go again as we head into the fall and what contract we're going to use. That's the other, no matter what, we still need to discuss that contract.
Correct. So this contract would be for the Booster Club and Excalibur. They will both be the same contract, is my understanding. Is that
If
right?
that's the board's wishes, then
Okay, so if that's the case,
Did Paul say yes on that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I said if that's your wishes. I mean, it's completely up to the board on how they want to proceed with this. So we're in uncharted territory.
So I like this contract. I think it's got a lot more specifics in it than the one that we used prior. So I think it's good. It's better than where we were. I do wonder if there's a few things that we can add specifically around. It's in the Echo Rank contract in section 17. It says being able to be inspected by Missouri law enforcement officers. I'd like to see if we can specifically add that into section 4.
Well, the only issue is, Emily, you're talking about two different types of buses. So you're talking about a charter bus versus a yellow bus.
Right.
And the yellow bus is required by state law to do that. This is called charter buses. I can't remember what the classification is, Doug. Charter.
I don't recall what it said in there, but the patrol does not inspect charter buses and such, just the school buses.
well, what's this authorized common carrier? What is that?
That's
about?
common carrier. That's the term. That's the one.
That's what.
So yes, charter buses are called common carriers. There's a lot of laws that are applicable to school buses that are not applicable to common carriers. One of those is the inspection by the law enforcement. They don't have the number of. They don't have a stop arm. They don't have the stop sign. They don't. The coloring, the flashing light on top. There's just
Right.
several things that they don't have.
But I think as a board, we could request that it be inspected the same way the yellow buses are inspected for a safety issue.
Well, they're going to have a DOT inspection. The common carrier has to keep it on the bus at all times, that DOT inspection.
I guess I've got a little bit of angst knowing the condition that the buses have been in this year, that it feels like something was missed to have gotten to the condition that they weren't. So I guess I'm looking for some things to protect us
Well,
and make sure that they really are safe.
I would say that common carrier piece, and talking with Dwayne, you have to apply to be a common carrier.
Oh,
So that's the piece that I think has been missing for probably years.
oh, okay.
Okay.
So the
So
DOT,
if they are considered a common carrier, then what's different? What processes do they have to go through that's different than what's currently been in that contract?
Let's see. Let me
I
see.
tried Googling, it was hard to understand all the things.
Well,
about
there's-
a common carrier.
Give me just a second, because I did ask that question.
Thanks, Brent.
You're welcome.
Okay, so here's the information. Details about getting authority are located on the Missouri Motor Carrier Services website. If they don't already have a MoDOT Carrier Express account, they would need to make one, then obtain a US DOT number from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Then he gave me the website for that. To complete a Mo-1 application and submit a proof of insurance all through that account. So that's a broad overview. Essentially, it's a federal application.
But they've not had to do that so far.
No, not to my knowledge. I don't think any of them are licensed common carriers, and that's essentially to adhere to this provision that they would have to do so.
Okay. The other thing I just wondered around, there's something in the Echo Ride contract about maintaining records about the bus maintenance that can be inspected, that can be, if requested by the district. We can have visibility to those too, and I wondered if we should have that in the Booster Club contract as well.
That's fine. Sure.
I just want to make sure there's probably nobody in this town more that wants these buses to get fixed than Mike Johnson. I just want to make sure that everybody knows it. I think he's proud of showing up to a game in the Big Blue. And Masters isn't going to work on these buses. Transwest is probably the only other local company that's going to, we have a shot, or the Booster Club has a shot at trying to work on these. So I think we have to give.
Well, there are businesses, we use some when I had them, we
What
were.
Sap Brothers does, don't they do?
I think they'll do them, but then, we were out at, Rantoul, Kansas. There used to be a place that was out in the middle of nowhere that would fix them, and then out in Olathe, and
Just gotta get them there.
you gotta get them there, and it's a chore. It's a big chore. And so,
I guess the board, and I know the whole board wants the safety issue resolved, because it's my understanding that one of the reasons the bus totaled was because the tires weren't up to speed. I mean, that's a report we were given. And if the tires aren't being inspected, that's a basic safety feature.
they'd be inspected under DOT inspection.
Under the DOT, yes, but not a vehicle safety inspection. No.
Keep on. But I think we also, I personally, I would like to have somebody from the Booster Club present at some of these and prepared to answer some questions, because we can wonder all this and want this, but if they're not willing to be in the game and answer and say, we're gonna have this and do this, I hate to say it, because I'm the one that started, I'm the one that brought on 2 buses when I was the president of the Booster Club, and it was great. But it's a huge task and responsibility. But if the Booster Club isn't functioning properly, if they're not going to be responsible for it, then we're going to have to move on. And I'm sorry, but we're going to have to move on. And Harrisonville was the first school district in the state of Missouri to have one of these. So there's a lot of pride and history and things that go back to it. And I'm not saying to do away with it by any means. But the Booster Club needs to step up, and somebody needs to be here to answer some of this. Now, I don't know if we've asked them, but if not, then I think we need to have them here for our next meeting, prepared to tell us their plan and get things in place, or we're going to have to move on, because the games are going to go on and activities are going to go on. And if they can't make it, we set out a year, and then maybe that gives them time to get things back around and in shape, and we come back around the point. Or 6 months from now, they could bring the contract to us 6 months from now, but then we got to have, then I don't know how that plays in with Echo Ride or whoever else.
Well, Echo Ride's going to want an extended lease on the buses, the extra buses they provide. I can tell you that, because it's.
And I wouldn't expect them to be on the hook or have any loss.
Brown, I'm guessing that Robin's already probably scheduling trips for summer, August.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So technically we're already, I don't want to say on the hook, but she's going to have to find alternative busing to football camps, stuff early fall.
Maybe I don't know what we're talking about. I don't know. I see, to me, we have one that works right now and one that doesn't. The one that Excalibur is leasing to us or whatever it currently is running. We've used it the past month, fortunately, to bail us out of several. Again, along with the van, like I mentioned last month. There was even one time this last week of this regular season in baseball, Center High School called and said they couldn't come because they didn't have any transportation. So I actually sent Big Blue up there to pick them up, because we have to play it by conference bylaws. or we have to come back and play it after districts and the state playoffs are over. So we sent, and those kids were elated. But we just went and got them and brought them back, and then they sent a bus down later after they ran their route. But otherwise, our kids were going to miss out on a game. Their kids were going to miss out on a game. I'm not sure yet, but that trip may be donated just because it is out of the ordinary. I don't know that for a fact yet, but yeah, their AD was ecstatic. He thought I was joking initially, but when they pulled up, and you would have thought it was their bus. They got off and their chests were all pumped out.
Can we run on one bus?
Fortunately, we beat them though. It would have been bad if they had beat us.
Can we run on one Big Blue and one on a football game?
No, not for a full day. I mean, we can, yes, if we have additional yellow buses. We need 2 additional yellow buses, or one in another additional yellow bus, or both of these back again. I don't know. Again, I agree with Doug. We need to have both of those entities here and just ask them these questions face to face, because I don't have the answers. I talked to both of them, but I don't know all of those answers necessarily.
Can we, and I'm assuming through you, Brent, again, and maybe I don't know this, but I know I had regular meetings with the athletic director when I was 7 years. I was in the office at least once or twice a week, or meeting on, working out schedules and plans and stuff. But I would like to ask you to convey that we need to hear their plan from them and come prepared to answer some questions for us at the next meeting.
Next month may be a great opportunity. I don't know anything other than I got the minutes for tomorrow. They have a meeting tomorrow night. They'll elect their new officers and everything. So I think next month may be the meeting to bring in.
I'd like to ask you to have them here and tell them that we need some answers.
Perfect.
Because
And
it's not against them. I'm not against not having both Big Blues. But you've got to have the buses. The district has, and the Echo Ride.
We have to have assurance that they are safe.
Is there gonna be some kind of time limit for them to get this common carrier thing done? Because I know you wanna use Big Blue, and if there's a new contract made, it goes into effect July 1st. But if they don't have the common carrier piece done, I don't wanna be using it if it's not complying to the contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I think it would be one of those, if you can show that you've submitted and met all the aspects of it. Sometimes I'm wondering how quickly they can get that done, but if they've got everything submitted, it show that, and they say, hey, yeah, we'll have an answer to you back in the next 30 days, we might be able to go off of that or something.
so if you could get that piece about having the reports available, wasn't that it, Emily, that you wanted the repairs, the logs available, maintenance logs?
Yeah, just the regular maintenance, and I think it says something about it's got provide through district periodic report summarizing any repairs, but I think we should add regular maintenance into that as well.
Okay.
Do we fall under a common carrier by that definition?
We don't.
Does the charter bus isn't going to fall under a common carrier?
I don't know. I'm not familiar. That's what our attorney says. They either have to be according to.
Common carrier is going to be like Greyhound, or.
But there are charter services beyond Greyhound. That
Like the buses that take trips and stuff, the tour buses, yeah.
Be very similar to like what we see around here, Overland Adventures,
Yeah.
buses.
But those are like paying customers. That's right. I think it's we're going to get to a close thing where it's like paying customers.
We are paying.
Private entity.
Yeah, we are paying.
We are really,
We
yeah.
pay to lease the buses.
And we pay the driver,
It doesn't say you have to have multiple customers, I don't think, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
are there any other questions for the contract to submit back to the attorneys?
So we're gonna add a safety piece and a maintenance piece to the existing proposed contract.
Yes.
Okay. I'm good with that.
And it'll be two separate contracts, not one with two buses.
Well,
If
depending on
it-
what,
if it's-
depending on what they tell us.
Possibly.
Right, there could be two if they, I
Yeah.
don't know what their finance situation
Okay.
is. We need them here.
I know. Well, next month, June 28th.
27th.
Oh, sorry, 27th. Next meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Brent.
You're welcome.
Okay, we will move on to personnel 7A, certified salary schedule.
Move to approve the 2023-2024 certified salary schedule with a step increase as presented.
Second.
So, the recommendation, and this is kind of why we wait until this point, is with the movement and such, it kind of frees up what we're looking at from an expenditure standpoint with new staff coming in. But the recommendation is to increase the base salary to $40,000, which would be a $1,000 increase to the base, and to drop columns 1 and 2, which is the BS column and the BS plus 10 columns, down to step 15. Those have been locked previously higher than that. So it's to extend those down, giving people a few more years to obtain advanced degrees before they move over. So that is the recommendation on the certified salary schedule. It is roughly a 5% increase on the overall expenditures. Obviously, each cell is different, so it's not a, if you look employee by employee, it's not necessarily a 5% increase. However, the overall increase to the expenditure side is 5% on that.
It's a pretty big deal.
It's a huge deal.
I think.
I think it's considering where we were when we got the insurance renewals at 16%.
Yes.
Deb and I have been tracking the operating balances, and we've been in a really good place with the operating balances. Our assessed valuation, because the consumer price index will give us a higher percentage due to inflation, so we'll be able to capture more of an increase in the assessed valuation in August when those numbers come in. So I expect we'll see considerable growth in the assessed valuation, which is a recurring revenue source to support that. So
Well, we were under $500 difference from Lee Summit. And I think if there's a hope for education is getting young teachers in, and granted there's just bugging up a little bit more, but we're within we're $326 less than Lee Summit. So Paul, I just want to thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for working on that. We're in the ballpark now.
Totally. It's good. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 7B, 23-24 substitute teacher pay schedule.
I'll move to approve the 2023-24 substitute teacher pay schedule as presented.
Second.
So we've had increases in our regular substitute last couple of years, and so we're not recommending an increase on that. However, the long-term sub rate will go up due to the base salary increase.
All those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 7C, 23-24 other hourly pay schedule. I would accept a motion.
I move to approve the 2023-24 other pay salary schedule as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
So not a whole lot of changes here. Probably the biggest we addressed last month when we talked about the curriculum, which is a maximum 6 hours per day. That is That is a change, because we put an amount in there before, but if we just leave it as the 6 hours per day, then that amount can change, and you don't have to change that on both places, so if that makes sense.
I know this might be a pipe dream, but just as somebody, as a young teacher that kind of relied on running the clock, running the scorebook, if we got kids after the game that you stop by Culver's on the way home, they're making more money. If we can just get somewhere close to a little bit more than $11 for our teachers they might not be teaching a kid, making $25 an hour, but they're out there being around our kids, watching them perform on the court or the field or whatnot. If we can just maybe in the future figure out what we can do.
I would say next year, that's a good time to look at that, so.
Next year.
Remember that, Brent?
July 1st.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Coaching extra duty salary for 23-24. I'd accept a motion.
I move to approve the 2023-2024 coaching salary schedule as presented.
Second.
So we did a lot of work on this last year, combined and put percentages on most of that stuff, and so this will increase with the percentages based on the base salary. So as the base salary goes up, those numbers go up too. So.
Any questions, discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item E, 23-24 clerical, admin, and business office technology salary schedule. I accept the motion.
I move to approve the 2023-24 clerical, admin, and business office technology salary schedule with a step increase as presented.
Second.
Okay, so this one gets a little more complicated. Susan did laugh. We had a lot of meetings about this one. So we did not have, if you look on the left side, so we did not have anybody that was lower than step 7, and our starting pays were low. So in order to get our starting pay in those categories up, we chopped off the first I won't say we, I won't throw anybody else under the bus. I chopped out the first 5 steps, but to correlate that, we had to put both so we can show people where they were before, where they're moving to. So basically what it does is increases your base salary for those positions. If you are an employee who is in one of those cells now, you're still going to move down. Plus, we added 50 cents to those columns. So it's a overall roughly 5% increase, matching the teacher schedule, but we increased that base salary. Now, nobody on there is going to be making the same as a new employee that were to come in. It just increases that base salary. So just to make you aware of that situation. So nobody's going to say, hey, you brought in a new employee and they're 2 steps above me. They'll start at the bottom at the base salary and work their way up like everybody else. So.
Any questions? If not, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item F, 23-24 9-month salary schedule. I accept a motion.
Move to approve the 2023-24 9-month salary schedule with a step increase as presented.
So,
Wait,
okay, sorry.
I need a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, my mouth's moving faster than my brain. Usually the same problem, but similar situation. We cut a step so that we can move the base salary to a higher level. Increased each of those columns Is it 40, 45, 50, Deb? Is that right?
Yes, I believe
I
so.
think column 1 is 40 cents plus a step. Column 2 is 45 cents plus a step. Column 3 is 50 cents plus a step on those salaries. Again, it translates to roughly 5% for the schedule. The other thing that we wanted to do was to try and, so currently we have paraprofessionals who are in 2 classifications. They're not represented on the salary schedule. So you've got paraprofessionals who are getting bit, kicked, spit on, and deal with one-on-one very difficult situations. And then you have paras whose work environment is a little less stressful. They are reading tests, etc. And so somehow we are having a lot of trouble finding the paras that are in the more difficult category. So we wanted to add something to that schedule to compensate for that. However, the difficulty is sometimes those employees go back and forth between roles over multiple pay periods. So what we wanted to do was add $1 per hour pay for those situations, and we've defined those situations for you. So if somebody is a one-on-one paraprofessional, if somebody's in a life skills situation. So
That was added on board docs.
that was added on
this
board
afternoon,
docs. If you look at the bottom there, it kind of explains that, and it clarifies so that we're non-discriminatory. It's kind of black and white about who fits in those categories to get that extra pay. So they'll keep a record of that to deal with the business office too. So, anyways, that's something that we added to that schedule. So.
For the professionals that are kind of going back and forth, is it their responsibility to get that turned in, or is it just
They'll work with
documented?
the administrator. Yeah, that's
I think they need more.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I
think they need more than $1 an hour. I mean, extra for that, because I watch a student, and he's not even extremely high needs, and it's a lot more energy on that day in and day out.
It's a place to start. I don't disagree with you.
So I know it's a place to start, but I think that is definitely something that we as a board should be giving them more for that. It's a lot. It takes a lot mentally, physically, every day. That's just my 2 cents.
We can look at it again next year.
It's a place to start, and I think.
Yeah. Any further discussion?
Thanks again, guys and girls. We're better than Lee Summit on this one, so that's how I said. I'm always wanting to be better than them, so it's a start. It's
great.
Those are some of the people that make at least the high school and HES run. I was a part of that, so it's a start.
Okay, all those in favor of this signify by aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion passes. Moving on to business services. We have a resolution for signature change on Hawthorne Bank account. Would take a motion, please?
I move to approve the banking resolution from Hawthorne Bank as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Ask for a roll call vote since this is a resolution, please.
Okay. You have any discussion, any questions? Okay, roll call.
Michael?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Jenny?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes. I would accept a motion to adjourn and reconvene in closed session.
So moved and reconvene at 8 o'clock.
Second.
Jenny?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I wanted to, but I was like.
Come on.